I learned about the concept of running with a message way back in 1995 when I was really fortunate to take part in the American Indian movement Sacred Run. That year it was being held in Japan, and I just happened to be living in that country on a career break when it was held there. And that year it was in Japan because it was the 50th anniversary of the dropping of the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So the concept of it, we had nearly 100 people from many corners of the world all running together as a group from the very top of Japan, Rishiri Island, right down the coast over 2.5 months or so to arrive in Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the actual anniversary of the dropping of the bombs. And the whole way we carried the message that all life is sacred. And that message was carried in a wooden staff with eagle feathers. And that was the important part of the run. So on any given running day, people could choose any particular distance they felt like they could cover. The important thing was that as a group, we were all carrying that staff. So it always had to be at the front, and it had to move during the whole day to the end of that planned run. That's where I learned about the concept of running with a message, and that collectively we can cover a bigger distance, make a bigger difference. And the idea of Sacred Run was based on the First Nation people's tradition of carrying a message from village to village on foot. So any important message that needed to be carried, they would do on foot. I seem to have a natural ability to run long distances, but I never really did marathons or anything, or didn't do that seriously. But here I learned about running for a purpose, and I really embraced that. I really got a lot out of the idea that running could be a prayer, running could be a way of raising awareness, running could be a way to carry a message. So that's when I did my first 100-kilometre run overnight, was during the Sacred Run. And what resonated with me was that the celebration afterwards from Dennis Banks, the founder of the American Indian movement and the Sacred Run, the celebration was not that I as an individual had run that distance. It was that if he needed someone in Australia to carry a message a long way, he could ask me to do that. And equally, other people were celebrated in terms of running further than they ever had before, even if it was 10 kilometres for the first time. So that really resonated with me as well, that it was the group effort rather than individual showing off that counted. So I was inspired to create the Darkness to Daylight Challenge out of that life-changing experience that was being part of the Sacred Run. And I guess Dennis Banks really inspired me directly and indirectly to come back to Australia with and carry on those learnings that I gained through being part of that. Also, my life partner, Akimi, I met her on the run and she came here as well. So with the confidence and the inspiration that I gained from being part of the Sacred Run, I ended up being part of setting up the community investment program in the Brisbane office at Minter Ellison and being the manager of that. And that was about us working together to make a bigger difference. So the inspiration from the Sacred Run was there in my thinking. And early on in the life of the program, we learned about the issue of domestic and family violence, which a lot of people weren't talking about. Back then it was 17 years ago or more maybe. And that's when we first came across the organisation that became Australia's CEO Challenge. So the issue had come into my life in that way. In 2011, the Fukushima disaster happened, and that devastated myself and Akimi because this was the coast of Japan that we were running down in 1995. So it really impacted me, and it made me, I guess it was the catalyst for me to start running again in a public way, in that raising awareness, raising a message way. So I did a 100-kilometre run from Gold Coast to Brisbane to raise awareness about Fukushima and to raise funds for Fukushima. So then I was thinking, okay, this could be something that I could bring to my work. And in just talking about it around the office and talking to Australia's CEO Challenge, they were saying that in that year, 110 people had been killed through domestic and family violence in Australia. And I thought that that would be a really important thing to run for. So I did a pilot of what became Darkness to Daylight by running myself from Sunshine Coast to Brisbane. And at the end, the last 10 kilometres, a group of people joining me. So that concept was there in terms of running 1 kilometre for every death caused in that year, and running through the night to represent the isolation of an abusive relationship, but then the community coming together in the morning. So I guess the concept was there from that conversation with Australia CEO Challenge. The run itself was a bit of an adventure, so I got lost and I lost my glasses, and there was a gang of kangaroos that we had to get through, and also it seemed to be more about me and not the message. So I guess from that we developed the idea of the public event, where it was a 10 kilometre circle around and around, so we couldn't get lost, and getting as many people involved as possible to make it about the message and not about each particular individual. And I guess from there, Darkness to Daylight Challenge was created. I chose domestic and family violence as the cause to run for, I guess for a few reasons. And I think Darkness to Daylight Challenge is not just running for the cause, it actually embodies the cause. So everything about it is connected to the cause, whether that's the candles that we carry, the distance that we run, the group coming together in the morning. So I hope that it's a unique event where anyone can get involved in whatever capacity to raise awareness about this issue, but that they know that the run itself symbolically embodies what that issue is about. But I guess logically, I wanted to run about domestic and family violence because we knew about that issue from working with Australia's CEO Challenge. We could see that, particularly when we started, there weren't a lot of people talking about it. So it made sense to be raising awareness about that issue. The emotional aspect of it, though, is probably the more important catalyst. And very early on, from working with Australia's CEO Challenge, I went to a conference about domestic and family violence, and they started the conference by playing a couple of real-life 000 calls, and they were from during and after a fatal domestic violence incident. And that was, again, more than 17 years ago. It still resonates with me. It impacted me so much that I still get shakes when I'm thinking about it now. And since then, through the work that we've been doing, I've heard many other stories about the impact of this issue. And I'm just passionate about putting an end to violence. I don't like it, and I think the world would be a better place without it. And so for me, the emotional aspect is really important in terms of bringing an end to what should not be happening in the first place. It comes down to every step counts and all life is sacred.